Weinstein is now hitting back at the Times, claiming the explosive report is, quote, saturated with false and defamatory statements.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're examining 10 scandals that got progressively more unsettling as new details and developments emerged.
Kevin Spacy sat down on the sofa next to me, asked if that was my girlfriend, then reached over.
The Catholic Church abuse scandal.
Ignored when he spoke up. Just one example out of hundreds swept under the carpet by the Catholic Church.
The issue of abusive Catholic priests goes back decades, but as is usually the case, victims were discouraged from coming forward and the problems were handled internally, which really meant that nothing much more was done about it. However, the issue began receiving limited press in the 1980s, and a growing awareness spread the following decade, thanks in large part to Sinead O'Connor's infamous act of protest on Saturday Night Live.
Fight the real enemy.
But we had no idea just how deep it went. By 2002, the Boston Globe had broken the story wide open, revealing a decades-long pattern of abuse and systemic cover-ups by the Catholic Church. Before long, reports and investigations were erupting in countries all across the world.
We gotta nail these scumbags. We gotta show people that nobody can get away with this. Not a priest or a cardinal or a freaking pope.
Anthony Weiner.
Did you send that picture to that college student in Washington State?
I did not.
Everyone remembers the time that sexting brought down a congressman. In May of 2011, he accidentally tweeted a lewd photo that was meant for a woman. He tried the whole "my account was hacked" thing, but it didn't work, and Weiner eventually came clean. It gets worse. He also admitted to doing this with about 6 other women over the last 3 years, and he resigned from Congress. In 2013, Weiner attempted a political comeback, but was caught yet again. 2 more times, in fact.
New York Post reports today that Weiner has been texting once again with a 40-year-old woman this time.
It gets worse. In 2016, he was accused of sexting an underage girl, and he pleaded guilty to transferring obscene material to a minor. He was given 21 months in prison and had to register as a sex offender.
Anthony Weiner has already lost so much: his congressional seat, the chance to be New York City mayor, and his wife. Now this morning, he's waking up to the reality that on top of everything else, he's now about to lose his freedom.
Marilyn Manson.
Evan Rachel Wood says she knew it would be a big problem when she decided to publicly name her alleged abuser as Brian Warner, known to many, of course, as Marilyn Manson.
Controversy has always followed Marilyn Manson, but things took a turn for the personal in 2021. It started in February, when a number of women, including Manson's ex-fiancée, Evan Rachel Wood, accused him of abuse. And with this, the floodgates opened. Further stories soon came pouring in, and before long, more than a dozen women had accused Manson of some kind of mistreatment.
Was there a first step of like, oh, this doesn't feel right?
Literally the first day on tour.
5 women also filed civil lawsuits against the musician, including one Jane Doe, who claimed that she was groomed as a minor back in the 1990s. Some lawsuits were dismissed, others were settled out of court. And while Manson maintains his innocence, even going so far as to sue Wood for defamation, his reputation has been thoroughly tarnished.
And he beat me with a whip, and he filmed it.
Jeffrey Epstein.
And when he is here at his home on Palm Beach, it appears he prefers to stay out of sight.
This famous financier was rocked by scandal in 2005 when a woman in Palm Beach, Florida accused Epstein of assaulting her teenage daughter. The accusation was bad enough for his public image, but police looked into it and uncovered an entire network of abuse involving dozens of women and young girls.
He was here around Easter, and he rides his bicycle around, usually with the young girls.
He served 1 year in prison, but as we all know, even that wasn't the end of the story. Fast forward to July 2019, when the FBI targeted Epstein and arrested him for sex trafficking. This arrest has spawned countless conspiracy theories, like the fact that Epstein was running an enormous underground sex ring involving the world's elite. This theory was further bolstered by his curious death in prison.
Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein took his own life, or do you believe he was got at?
I believe he took his own life.
Jimmy Savile.
But the evidence amounts to much more than that. It's a pattern of
offending that these complainants are speaking about.
Everyone knew that Jimmy Savile was a bit eccentric, but a few knew that he was downright evil. Savile died in October 2011, and the following year, ITV released an episode of Exposure, in which multiple women accused Savile of sexual assault. Following its release, London police were so inundated with further accusations that they launched Operation U-Tree and began extensively digging into Savile's history.
I was really aware that I needed to start talking.
What they uncovered was nightmarish. They released a report in January 2013 detailing extensive abuse, with hundreds of women and young girls being attacked across the country over a span of 50 years. The scandal rocked Britain and beyond, leading to increased awareness of institutional abuse and a number of reforms to improve the safety of children.
But basically, this whole sordid affair has shown the tragic consequences of when vulnerability collides with power.
Kevin Spacy.
This morning, actor Kevin Spacy is responding to a bombshell accusation of sexual harassment against a young boy.
The Me Too movement brought about the downfall of many public figures, including Kevin Spacy. It began in October of 2017, when a man named Anthony Rapp accused Spacy of assaulting him back in the 1980s. Spacy issued a statement on Twitter apologizing to Rapp, but he also used the opportunity to come out as gay, a move that was widely criticized as an attempt at deflection. If only it ended there.
The tears of a mother in Boston today, revealing what she claims happened to her son.
In the following weeks, multiple people came forward with similar allegations, including many who worked on House of Cards, meaning his rash of inappropriate behavior was ongoing. And while Spacy has been acquitted in all criminal cases related to these allegations, he remains a controversial figure, and his career has struggled to regain traction.
I think it was every single place you could imagine in our industry. Every woman I've spoken to, female actor I've spoken to, can tell you a story.
Bill Cosby.
Do you still take grief for that?
Not grief, no,
Well, now you're vindicated.
While there were multiple warning signs, everyone ignored, even loved, Bill Cosby until October 2014, when comedian Hannibal Buress alluded to Cosby's sketchy history. These remarks allowed multiple women to come forward, and by the end of the year, more than a dozen had accused Cosby of sexual assault, with a pattern of abuse stretching back half a century to the 1960s.
I never saw any drugs, but I would wake up completely confused, half-dressed.
But things got even worse in 2015. We learned that Cosby tended to drug women with Quaaludes by spiking their drinks, and many more victims were discovered, eventually totaling over 60. America's Dad eventually found himself in prison, and his case marked a major cultural shift in how accusations of abuse are perceived.
In this deposition, Bill Cosby says a media outlet suppressed another woman's story at his request.
Harvey Weinstein. For decades, rumors circulated in Hollywood regarding Harvey Weinstein's abusive behavior. But it wasn't until 2017 that the downfall truly began.
I turned down intercourse with Harvey Weinstein on no less than 3 occasions out of 5.
In October of that year, the New York Times and the New Yorker published exposés detailing Weinstein's history of abuse. Dozens of women had accused the movie mogul of assault, and the problem had been persisting for decades.
This is a very different day. What do you do if you have behaved badly for 30 years?
But this was only the beginning. These exposés were the magic key, and it unlocked one of Hollywood's darkest secrets. Dozens more came forward following the publications, including some of the most prominent industry figures. In total, over 80 women eventually accused Weinstein of misconduct, sparking the Me Too movement and uncovering a deep pattern of systemic abuse.
Because in New York, the former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced to 23 years in prison.
R. Kelly.
You could argue Chicago law enforcement has been hunting down R. Kelly for nearly 20 years.
In December of 2000, the Chicago Sun-Times made a startling report on R. Kelly. claiming that the R&B singer had engaged in inappropriate behavior with a minor. We had no idea just how far this story would go. The newspaper broke a similar scandal just 14 months earlier, leading to serious charges which tarnished the singer's reputation. But because the alleged victim refused to testify, Kelly was infamously acquitted.
Cook County jury acquitted Kelly in 2008. Now a second set of charges similar in nature with a different group of players. But just how different are things in the R. Kelly case then and now?
Luckily, justice eventually came for the singer in the 2010s and early 2020s, following even deeper and more disturbing revelations. Kelly was eventually nailed for many serious crimes, like producing illicit material, sexual exploitation, and racketeering, and sentenced to 30 years in prison.
Prosecutors accused him of leading a criminal enterprise of managers, bodyguards, and other employees to recruit and abuse women, underage girls, and a teenage boy.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Diddy.
He says, quote, many powerful people, there are many dirty secrets.
This is one of those stories where it seems like every day brings a new revelation. November 2023 was a bad month for Diddy, as 3 different people accused him of sexual assault, including his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. He acknowledged his transgressions with a quick Instagram apology, hoping that would bury the story for good.
The evidence is very clear, and it was only a matter of time that this is an important step towards justice. Now, Sean Diddy Combs, he's denied any wrongdoing in those civil lawsuits against him.
But those allegations were only the tip of the iceberg. In October of 2024, the Washington Post reported that over 120 lawsuits against Diddy would be filed in the coming months. And attorney Andrew Van Arsdale even admitted that approximately 3,000 people have come forward with allegations of abuse. 3,000. Just when you think the story couldn't possibly get any worse, it does.
This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges.
Can you think of any other examples? Let us know in the comments below.
I would describe Savile as a predatory serial sex offender.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.